I've just got my project file open here again. We just need to bring in the sky texture. Okay, so I'm just copying that. We can put that anywhere. I'll put it in textures, paste it in there. Okay, we've got a nice sky. So we'll minimize that, and we will. Let me just go here. Make sure we got load from disk checked, and drop a null. And we'll just put out on this. There we go. Okay, and then head out here and then go into our stage context. Let's first of all get a shop import and then go ahead and find that elephant. It was here, out, and there's our elephant. So that's great. We don't need to bring anything else in with that. Let's drop a light. So we use a dome light to start with. So, you know, we get some actual shadows on this elephant. There we go. Let's make a camera. So roughly like that. Control click. And I'm just going to, so control click on the camera will drop it from your point of view. And then click the padlock and then kind of move around until you're happy with the position, something like that. And then to bring in that image, if we come here, press D on your keyboard, go to background, and then find it here in camera. So if we go, looking in geometry, we need to go into, where do I put it? Textures, sky. There we go. So there we can see it in the background. Now make sure to turn that off. It's something I always forget to do, and then move my camera in, unintentionally. Actually, I will just grab that and just move it so the elephant's just kind of stood on the clouds there in the background. Okay, great. Now for this dome light, let's grab one of the Houdini lights. So this Lenong be fine. And let's turn that off and go into Karma so we can actually start to see this volume start to render. Great. Okay, let's we need a material. So we will go into the material palette here and then go down to basic smoke, bring that over. We'll not put it here, so we just need to make a material library. So this material palette is connected with the matte context here, so yeah, it'll be here. But you can just copy that or Control X, grab that from there, go back into the stage, into here, Control V, get that smoke in there, and then just to make sure that it's working, you know, I set this to something weird to red, and then assign it to geometry and all geometry primitives. That should work. There we go. So we can see the red. So that's connected properly. Now, obviously, we don't want that to be red, so we want it to be white. Fire, we have no fire, so I'll just turn the intensity off. Turn that to 0, and the rest I think we can leave at default. Okay, so come back out here, and let's add some more lights maybe. So let's do another, let's do a distant light. So we just drop a light and then set that to distant light. So distant is a bit like kind of like a sun, right? So it's just light coming in one direction, you know, wherever your object is, wherever the transforms are for the light, it doesn't matter. It's just about one light from one direction instead of from one location, if you will. So it's just the rotation that matters with a distant light. Okay, so let me make that a bit brighter. That's too bright. Something like that. No, a bit more. Okay, and then take a look at the transforms, maybe rotate it a bit. I'm trying to match it to this background, right? So I'm just looking at the direction of the light there. Maybe going the other way. Okay, yeah, coming down, that's pretty good. And then let's bring the intensity up. Exposure. So these two values, I see, you know, exposure is almost like a multiplier, or, you know, when I need to go up a lot, I use this. When I need to fine tune it, I use this. You know, there's no difference in the results. It's just how you're getting there, right? Let's bring that down. Maybe bring this up a bit. See, so we're getting kind of smaller differences here. Just looking at these edges there. Let me bring that down a bit. Something like that. That's good. Okay, we still need to obviously match up this color a bit. So what you can do, so, you know, we do have a little bit of color here. Obviously, you know, from the sun has color to it. So, you know, the lower the temperature, the more orange it is. If you go very high in temperature, we get blues. So I'm just looking for a really subtle little bit of orange around there. Let's get a bit hotter. About 5,000, I think. Looks okay. And we've got the shadows here are pretty blue, so I'm gonna do that here. You can do it here or in the shader. I think in shadow color there, but I'm just going to do it in the light out here. So we're going to change this to set or create, and then kind of find a blue that matches this. Okay, so that's already much better just by setting that. It's not bad. Let me drop this down a tad, and this make it a little bit darker. About there, that looks good. And then I'm going to bring in one more light, so just to kind of brighten up this area here. So I'm going to leave that as a point light and just kind of brighten up this area out here a little. Something like that. And bring it up a bit. Back out this way. Just out a bit more. And make it, you know, I don't want it too bright, but about there is good. And then so that the shadows and the temperature match up, just turn that on, and the same with shadows. So set or create there. Sorry, not that. This one, set or create, and then copy these values. So copy parameter, and then here we can right click. There we go. And then for the temperature as well, copy that. And where was it? Base properties, and right click, paste relative references. So there we go. We'll get the same color values between those two. I'm going to drop this down. Oops. 0.5, like that. That's pretty good, but we need some kind of light bouncing around. So I'm going to drop a karma node. Connect that up down here. And what's kind of nice, important sometimes, but not always, is to come into your limits and set the volume limit to 1. So that's going to give us a bounce. Allow the light to bounce around inside the volume, and you can see that's instantly much brighter. So we're getting a, like I said, yeah, a bounce with the light. Let me just turn that off. So they're kind of matching up pretty nicely now. And with the sampling, we can probably bring this down. Try 45. See what that gets us. And so for the resolution, I'm going to set this in here to 1080. Okay, which will take longer to render, and I don't think we'll need it. We can use the denoiser if you want, but there should be enough samples for us. And last thing to do, I'm going to save it before I go ahead and do this, but I'm going to push up the resolution to 1000. Okay, I'm kind of happy with the, with how that's looking. So I'm going to stop the render. So pause render there. Go back out to my elephant, and again, this depends on how much memory you've got, basically. So keep an eye on your memory usage. I'm going to bump this up to 1000. So my Houdini just crashed there, so that's probably because I had this turned off. So come back and turn this on, turn this back to 8 HDR, and then I'll try that again and cross my fingers. It could be that, because I'm recording at the same time. Let's try that at 1000, and there we go. So that's fine now. It's just, you can see it's clipped there, not clipped, but limited in the viewport. And then I'll come down here and just let that process through. There we go. So that's done. Took, a minute or so for myself. You can monitor it down here just to make sure that, Houdini hasn't frozen and it's actually doing something. You'll see kind of the time going up there. So just save that, come down here, make sure, that's managed to save, and then head back into the stage. You can do that here or here, by the way, doesn't matter. And then this will be that higher res version. So that's looking really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and save this out. I'd like to save it into my hip folder. Render is fine. I don't want this or that or that, so delete those. Let's call it elephant. We'll give it a version as well. And we will do, I think with this render to disk, you won't see the progress. What you can do is go to render, and then where is it, scheduler, and it should pop up here. So if I click render to disk, you should see, there we go, you can follow this and see that the time's still going up, it's still actually rendering. You can obviously check your task manager or whatever to see that your CPU is doing something. Okay, so once that's done, we'll take this into compositing.